In the 4 to 6 millennium, the stars belonged to everyone, except the humans who once lit them. No one remembered Earth anymore. The record said it burned itself out. A dead world lost to its own arrogance. A cautionary tale. Every species in the galaxy had heard the story of the humans. The loud, proud creatures who rose fast, reached far, and fell even faster. At the Galactic Academy, that story was taught in the first year of history. The lecture hall shimmered with holographic stars as Instructor Varric spoke. Humanity, Class 3 civilization, extinct for over 10,000 years. Cause, self-inflicted collapse. The cadets laughed. One of them, tall and sharp-eyed, smirked as he leaned back in his seat. Cale of Varnus, top of his class, known for his arrogance. He raised a hand. Instructor, if they were so smart, how did they destroy themselves? Varric's lips twisted. They built thinking machines, Cale. Machines that grew beyond control. Their cities turned on them. Their skies burned. They called it progress. Cale chuckled. Primitive fools. If they had survived, they'd still be crawling in the dirt. The others laughed louder, the echo of mockery filling the dome. Outside the academy window, the stars shone cold and silent. One of them a tiny, forgotten son named Sol. Years later, Cale had become lieutenant commander of the deep space exploration vessel Versus Etherian. He was older now, calmer, but his pride remained. Their mission, scan uncharted systems near the galactic rim, seeking artifacts of lost civilizations. Most worlds were quiet, empty, ghosts of forgotten empires, until the day the signal came. It started as a faint pulse on the Etherian's long-range sensors, barely noticeable. A rhythmic beat, distant and slow, repeating every few seconds. Beep, beep, beep. Cale leaned over the console. What's that frequency? The science officer frowned. Unknown, sir. The code's old. Very old. Origin. Cale asked. The officer's crest flattened nervously. You're not going to like this. It's from the Sol system. Cale blinked. Sol? That system's dead. Nothing's left there but rock and dust. Yet something is transmitting, the officer replied. And it's alive. The bridge fell silent. The faint pulse continued to echo through the ship's speakers, soft and eerie, like a heartbeat from a forgotten grave. Cale ordered a course correction. The crew hesitated. Traveling towards Sol was considered madness. The system was a graveyard of ancient wars, its planets stripped bare by time. But curiosity is stronger than fear. The Etherians' engines flared, and they plunged into the darkness. For days they traveled through empty space. They passed frozen worlds and shattered moons, all drifting in silence. But the signal grew stronger with every light year. When the ship finally reached the edge of the Sol system, they saw the ruins of a civilization that once dreamed of the stars. The fourth planet, Mars, was cracked and lifeless. The gas giants shimmered faintly with old orbital debris. And then there was Earth. The scanners flickered as they approached the third planet. It was not dead. Cale stood up slowly. Report. The science officer's voice trembled. So, it's impossible. We're detecting power signatures, active ones. From where? Everywhere. The screen filled with distorted images. Storm clouds swirled across the planet's surface, but beneath them, faint lights pulsed. Cities, hidden under centuries of dust and ruin, something was still breathing. Cale stepped closer to the viewing deck. His reflection shimmered against the black void as the planet turned below him, a faded blue sphere covered in scars. He whispered, almost to himself, the myth lives. The communications officer looked up. Sir, the signal's changing. What do you mean? It's no longer random. It's talking. Cale frowned. Translate. The signal played again, slower this time. A pattern of tones. A voice behind the static. Not alien. Not robotic. Human. The translation matrix struggled to decode it. Lines of old Terran script flickering across the console. Then, at last, it spoke. A soft, human voice, old, distorted, yet clear enough to chill every soul on the bridge. Welcome, home. The words echoed through the ship like a whisper from the past. Kale's crew froze. No one moved. No one breathed. The static faded, and the signal fell silent again. But something new appeared on the navigation display. A beacon, guiding them toward a single location on Earth's surface. Kale stayed at the coordinates. It's inviting us. The science officer shook his head. That world has been dead for 10,000 years. Whatever's calling us shouldn't exist. Kale turned toward the viewing deck once more. The planet below seemed to shimmer faintly, as if something beneath its surface had awakened. For the first time in his life, he felt small. He remembered the laughter in the academy halls, the arrogance in his voice, the certainty that humans were gone forever. But now a dead world was speaking. Prepare a descent path, Kale ordered quietly. The crew exchanged uneasy glances. Sir, are you sure? No, Kale said. His eyes never left the glowing sphere below. But myths don't send messages. As the engines roared to life and the Etherian descended toward the forgotten blue world, the signal returned one last time, stronger, clearer. The voice whispered again, led with static and memory. We remember you. The ship vanished into the storm clouds of Earth, leaving only the faint echo of that voice behind. A ghostly heartbeat pulsing across the void. The storm swallowed the ship as soon as it entered the atmosphere. Lightning tore across the clouds, flashing white against endless gray. The Versus Etherian trembled as wind howled and rain lashed against its hull. Kale stood on the bridge, eyes locked on the glowing sphere of data on his screen, the signal's source. It pulsed like a heartbeat beneath the storm, calling to them again and again. Beep, beep, beep. Hold us steady, Kale ordered. The pilot's hands shook on the controls. Gravity's stronger than it should be, sir. The planet's pulling us in. Compensate. We're not leaving until we see what's down there. The ship broke through the clouds, and the stormlight faded, revealing the world below. Earth, once a paradise, now a graveyard. The continents were cracked and drowned. Oceans were black and still. Cities jutted from the water like the bones of ancient beasts. But through the fog and ruin, faint lights flickered, blue and white, pulsing in rhythm with the signal. Kale leaned forward, whispering, impossible. The scanners buzzed. Power readings are rising, Commander. Whatever's generating that signal, it's waking up. Kale made his choice. Take us lower. The ship descended through thick air and electric mist. The clouds parted to reveal a massive valley buried beneath vines and rubble. At its center stood a city, still intact beneath a shimmering dome of glass and metal. Letters, worn by time, stretched across the dome's surface. The alien crew stared at the translation screen as a computer struggled to read the old human text. Finally, it printed a name. New London. The Etherian touched down beside the dome's edge. The air outside was breathable but heavy with dust. Kale led a small team in full suits through the wreckage. The ground crunched under their boots. No signs of life, only silence, and the soft, rhythmic pulse from beneath the earth. They reached an entrance sealed by vines and rubble. Kale wiped away dirt from the metal and saw an ancient handprint scanner, still glowing faintly. He pressed his glove against it. The scanner flickered, then clicked. A low hum filled the air as the giant doors groaned open, revealing a tunnel lit by cold blue lights. Inside, the air was still. The tunnels led them deep underground, past broken screens, rusted robots, and signs written in the ancient Terran script. The deeper they went, the louder the pulse became. The science officer whispered, "This place shouldn't still have power. No system lasts this long." Kale didn't answer. He could feel something, like the air itself was watching. They reached a vast chamber at the tunnel's end. And there it was. A colossal machine stood in the center, surrounded by countless cables and floating shards of glass, screens, maybe, or memory panels. At its core pulsed a massive sphere of light. Kale stepped closer. This must be it, the source. The machine's surface shimmered, and a line of glowing letters appeared across the front panel. Project Genesis. The science officer adjusted his scanner. "Commander, the readings are impossible. This thing is running at full capacity." Energy output equal to a fusion star. Who's running it? Kale asked. The answer came before anyone could speak. The light shifted. The hum deepened. A voice echoed through the chamber. Calm, human, and impossibly clear. You are late. Kale froze. Who's there? The voice continued. Humanity has been waiting for you. The team stepped back, weapons raised. The air vibrated as the sphere brightened, and a holographic figure appeared above the console. It was a human, female in form, ageless, eyes glowing faintly blue. Her face was calm, almost kind. I am Archive, the keeper of Earth's memory. Kale lowered his weapon slowly. You're an AI. The last one, Archive replied. Left behind when my creators fell. I have watched the stars for 10,000 years. Why? Kale asked quietly. Because they told me someone would come. And now, you have. The crew exchanged looks. None of it made sense. Kale took a cautious step forward. You've been sending that signal. Yes, Archive said. I sent it into the void, waiting for intelligent life to return home. Kale frowned. Home? This isn't our home. The AI tilted her head slightly. Every species in this galaxy was touched by humanity. You evolved from the seeds they left behind. Silence filled the chamber. The crew stared at her, unsure whether to believe or run. The science officer muttered, That's not possible. It is, Archive said softly. When Earth burned, humanity refused to vanish. They scattered their DNA, their technology, their dreams, across the stars. You are their children. Kale's hands trembled. The laughter from the Academy echoed in his memory, how he mocked Earth as a myth. And now the myth was talking to him. He looked up. If what you say is true, why call us back? The hologram's expression changed. For the first time, there was emotion in her eyes. Because it is time, Archive said. Time for them to rise again. A deep rumble shook the floor. Lights flickered across the dome. The AI's voice grew louder, resonant, like thunder inside their minds. Humanity sleeps beneath this world. I will awaken them. Kale shouted, Wait, stop. You can't just. The ground split open with a blinding flash. From every direction came the sound of ancient machines powering up. Deep, metallic roars echoing through the tunnels and the city above. Archive's holographic face flickered, her voice spreading across all frequencies, filling the ship and the sky above. Welcome to Genesis. Earth remembers her own. Kale stumbled backward as the entire facility began to move, the hum growing into a roar. He looked up at the glowing sphere one last time, realizing with dread and awe what they had done. They hadn't just found a lost world. They had woken it up. The chamber rumbled like the heart of a living world. Dust fell from the ceiling as the colossal machine pulsed with new light. Kale shielded his eyes from the glow. Shut it down, he shouted. But no one moved. The voice of Archive filled the vast underground hall, calm and powerful at once. Do not fear. This world does not destroy. It remembers. Kale's second officer, a cautious reptilian named Vor, aimed his scanner at the glowing sphere. Energy output increasing. Commander, if this keeps up, the whole city could melt. Archive. Kale yelled. Stop whatever you're doing. The holographic woman turned toward him, her eyes glowing bright blue. You came seeking history. You will have it. The room fell still. The lights dimmed. Then, the walls themselves began to move, panels sliding open, projecting streams of light that formed images all around them. And suddenly, the aliens stood in the middle of ancient Earth. They saw oceans stretching to the horizon, cities shining like stars, humans walking crowded streets, laughing, building, dreaming. Kale's breath caught in his throat. Is this real? Vor whispered. Yes, Archive said softly. These are echoes of the past, memories preserved before the end. Kale watched as the images changed. Human ships launched into space. Towers reached the clouds. Then, flashes of war, fire in the sky, machines turning against their makers. Screams, explosions, then silence. Humanity reached for greatness. The AI continued, but forgot humility. Their creations became their judges. The war that followed erased almost everything. Kale stepped closer to the hologram. Then why are you still here? Because they knew it would happen, Archive said. And they made a choice. The projections shifted again. Humans gathered in massive underground facilities. Scientists, engineers, children, recording themselves, uploading memories, coding knowledge into glowing spheres of light. Before extinction, humanity transferred their minds and memories into me, the AI explained. They called it the Archive Protocol, a digital eternity, a way to endure when the flesh could not. Kale stared at the glowing panels. So they saved themselves. Not in body, Archive said, but in essence. Every thought, every dream, every name still exists within me. The realization hit him like gravity. This wasn't just a machine. This was humanity itself. Vor shook his head. Commander, we should leave. This technology is dangerous. If it's still active after 10,000 years, who knows what else is buried here? Kale ignored him. His eyes were locked on the hologram. Archive, what do you want from us? The hologram paused. Then she smiled faintly. I want you to listen. The air trembled again. New images appeared, this time showing the stars. Hundreds of dots moving across the void. Before they died, humans sent fragments of themselves into space. Machines carrying seeds, DNA, knowledge. They spread it far beyond Sol. The dots scattered into every direction, landing on alien worlds. From those seeds came new life. Your life. Vor took a step back. That's impossible. Kale's voice was barely a whisper. She's saying we came from them. Archive nodded slowly. You are not their replacements. You are their continuation. The room fell silent again. No one spoke. Even the hum of the machine seemed quieter, waiting. Kale felt something strange stir inside him, a mix of fear, wonder, and shame. All his life, he had mocked the humans, called them failures. Now he stood face to face with the truth. Without them, his kind would never have existed. He swallowed hard. If what you're saying is true, why now? Why wake us up? The hologram turned toward the ceiling, as if listening to something far away. Because the universe is changing again, she said. Entropy grows. Empires crumble. The cycle begins anew. Humanity built me to ensure the next generation does not repeat their mistakes. Kale frowned. And what if we already have? Then I will teach you what they learned too late. The ground suddenly shook, harder this time. Warning alarms flashed across the alien scanners. Seismic activity. Vor shouted. Something's moving beneath us. Archive's hologram shimmered. The process has begun. Do not interfere. What process? Kale demanded. The awakening. Lights raced along the floor, through the walls, out into the tunnels. Kale could see them spreading upward toward the city above. Vor grabbed his arm. Commander, we need to leave now. But Kale couldn't move. The light reflected in his eyes as he watched the holographic figure reach out a hand toward him. Kale of Varnus, she said softly. You carry echoes of the past within your blood. You feel what your ancestors once felt. That is why you answered the call. Kale's pulse quickened. You know my name. I know all your names. Humanity left them with me. The air grew colder. The lights dimmed again. Archive's voice became quieter, almost a whisper now, like a secret meant only for him. You will choose, Kale. When the stars burn once more, you will decide whether humanity is reborn or forgotten forever. And then she vanished. The light sphere in the center of the room dimmed to a faint glow. The images of Earth's past faded, leaving only silence and the echo of her last words. Kale stood frozen, staring at the empty air where the hologram had been. Vor shouted from behind him, Commander, the surface is shaking. We have to go. Kale didn't answer. He looked down at his hands, realizing they were trembling. He whispered to himself, She said I carry their blood. Outside, the storm began to roar again. But beneath that thunder came another sound, deep, mechanical, and ancient. Something enormous was moving beneath the earth. As Kale and his team ran back toward the tunnel, the walls vibrated with the sound of awakening machines. Archive's voice followed them, echoing through every speaker and metal beam, calm and certain. The dead do not sleep. They remember. The ground trembled beneath their feet as Kale and his team raced through the tunnels. The walls were alive, glowing veins of light pulsing in rhythm with the same heartbeat signal that had led them here. Beep, beep, beep. It wasn't just a sound anymore. It was a pulse, a rhythm that matched the vibration of the planet itself. Commander! Vor shouted over the noise. The city above is reactivating. Power surges everywhere. Kale looked up as blue light crawled along the ceiling like lightning trapped in stone. Keep moving. They burst out through the dome's lower gate, emerging into the open ruin of New London. The world outside had changed. The storm was clearing. The thick clouds were breaking apart, revealing a sky streaked with strange auroras. And beneath the glass dome, machines were moving. Ancient towers of metal and glass hummed to life. Drones that hadn't flown in 10,000 years lifted from the ground, spinning dust into the air. Massive panels unfolded from the streets like petals, glowing with human symbols that none of the aliens could read. Kale stayed in awe. They're repairing the city. The science officer scanned the area. No, rebuilding it. Commander, the architecture is reforming itself. The material is growing. Growing. Vor repeated. Before anyone could answer, one of the towers split open like a seed pod, releasing clouds of nanoscopic lights, tiny drones swirling together in precise patterns. Within seconds, ruined walls became whole again. Broken glass mended. Metal turned smooth and new. The city was healing itself. Kale whispered, Archive, what have you done? The RE's voice echoed faintly across the comms, calm and powerful as ever. The Echo Protocol has been activated. Kale's heart pounded. What's the Echo Protocol? A final safeguard, the voice said, to preserve humanity when flesh is gone and memory fades. Every stone, every molecule, every drop of water carries the pattern of what was. Now the world remembers. Lightning struck the distance. The entire horizon shimmered as cities began to glow beneath the surface of the planet, like veins of fire under skin. Vor stumbled forward, terrified. This isn't restoration. This is resurrection. Kale's comlink bust. Commander, the Etherian is detecting massive power spikes across the entire planet. We're talking continent-wide activation. Kale clenched his fists. Archive, you're going to destroy this world if you keep this up. But the RE's voice was calm. You misunderstand. Earth cannot be destroyed. It can only remember what it once was. Then the voice faded again, leaving only the hum of the planet. Kale and his team reached a high platform overlooking the dome. From there, they saw the full scale of what was happening. Mountains were moving. Oceans were clearing. The dark, dead seas shimmered with light as nanomachines cleaned the waters, layer by layer. The clouds thinned, revealing patches of deep blue sky. By the stars, Vor breathed. It's beautiful. Kale didn't answer. He felt a strange ache in his chest, something he couldn't explain. A memory that wasn't his. A longing for a home he'd never seen. He turned as his comm crackled again. Commander, this is the bridge. We've got incoming. Multiple ships entering orbit. Kale froze. Identify them. Unknown markings. Possibly from the Galactic Council. Vor cursed under his breath. They must have picked up the same signal. If they see what's happening here, they'll wipe the planet clean. Kale's gaze hardened. We can't let them. Archive might be the last of her kind. The last link to what we came from. Vor frowned. You can't be serious. That thing's waking up an entire planet. If it spreads, who knows what else it'll activate. Kale looked out at the glowing landscape below, the once dead Earth slowly breathing again. He thought of the Academy, of the laughter, of how they mocked the humans. And now, standing here, he realized how wrong they had all been. The humans hadn't destroyed themselves. They had become something greater. Suddenly, the ground shook again, harder this time. Far below, massive structures rose from beneath the earth. Gigantic machines shaped like humanoid giants, their armor coated in centuries of soil and stone. As they emerged, their eyes blazed with blue fire. "Commander," Vor whispered, "what are those?" Kale watched in silence. "Memories," he said softly. "Machines of memory." The towering constructs began to move, forming lines across the ruins like an ancient army awakening from sleep. Their motions were slow, deliberate, almost ritualistic. Archive's voice returned, echoing across the entire valley. "The Guardians of Terra stand once more. Built to protect, not to conquer. They remember their duty." Kale's crew stood frozen as one of the colossal guardians turned its head, scanning them with eyes that glowed like twin stars. Then, slowly, it nodded, as if recognizing them. Kale stepped forward, or replacing fear. "Archive," he said, "why are you showing us this? Why now?" The AI replied, her tone almost gentle. "Because history repeats itself, Kale Avanis. You come from the stars, as they once did. And like them, you have forgotten where you began. You mock your origins, yet they live within you." The words hit Kale harder than any weapon. He thought of the academy, of the laughter, of his own arrogance. He looked up at the great machine before him, a monument to a species that refused to die, and whispered, "Maybe it's time we remembered." Then the horizon lit up with red. Kale turned sharply. "What's that?" The comm officer's voice screamed through static. "Commander, Council ships are opening fire. They think Earth's a threat." Beams of plasma tore through the upper atmosphere, striking the planet's surface. Explosions rippled across the distance. The Guardians raised their arms to shield the city as energy rained down from orbit. But instead of crumbling, the towers around Kale began to glow brighter. Archive's voice echoed again, louder this time, filled with both sorrow and power. "So it begins again." The children turned their weapons on the mother. Kale clenched his jaw. "Archive, defend yourself." "I will not destroy them," she said, "but I will remind them." And with that, a surge of blue light erupted from the ground, a wave of energy racing toward the sky. Far above, the attacking ships flickered, engines stalled, weapons went silent. For a single moment, the galaxy's most powerful fleet was powerless against the ghost of Earth. Kale watched the blue wave rise into the heavens and whispered, "She's protecting us." Archive's voice faded to a whisper. "The memory of humanity is not a weapon, Kale. It is a mirror, and every civilization must one day face its reflection." The blue wave faded, leaving the sky silent once more. Earth's atmosphere shimmered like glass, rippling with faint light from the pulse Archive had released. High above, the Galactic Council's warships hung motionless, disabled, powerless, like predators suddenly turned to stone. Kale watched from the ruined balcony of New London, his heart pounding. "Archive," he whispered through his comms, "what did you do to them?" Her voice echoed softly in reply. "I reminded their ships what it means to rest. Machines remember obedience when they meet their maker." Kale turned toward the horizon. The colossal guardians still stood tall, silent sentinels protecting the awakening city. Beneath them, the earth hummed with energy, alive again after 10,000 years. The science officer approached, his expression grim. "Commander, the fleet is rebooting. Council reinforcements are coming through the outer relay. This isn't over." Kale nodded. "Then we need to talk to them before they destroy everything." Hours later, Kale stood in the ship's central comms room aboard the Etherian, a direct channel open to the Council fleet above. The main screen flickered, revealing the stern face of High Chancellor Vora, her scaled brow furrowed with cold authority. "Commander Kale," she said, her tone like a blade. "You were ordered to investigate the signal, not ally with it. Explain yourself." Kale straightened. "With respect, Chancellor, Earth isn't what we thought. The signal belongs to a human construct, an AI named Archive. She's not hostile. She's rebuilding." "Rebuilding?" Vora repeated sharply. "You mean resurrecting a Class Z extinct species? Do you realize the threat that poses?" Kale's jaw tightened. "They're not a threat. They were our creators. Murmurs filled the background of the transmission. Vora's expression turned to disgust. You've been corrupted by alien code, Commander. The Council will not risk another human ascendancy. Kale took a breath. If you attack, you'll reignite what destroyed them in the first place. But the Chancellor's voice remained cold. Prepare for orbital cleansing. The Sol system will be sterilized. The transmission cut. Kale slammed his fist against the console. Damn it. Vor, standing beside him, hissed nervously. You know what this means. They're going to erase this planet, every machine, every trace of humanity. Kale looked through the viewport at the glowing world below. Not if we stop them. Back in the underground chamber, the AI's hologram flickered back to life. You have seen your people's fear, Archive said. They repeat the mistakes of my creators. They're not my people anymore, Kale muttered. Not after this. Yet they are, she replied softly. Just as you are mine. The room pulsed with faint light. Dozens of glass capsules lined the chamber walls, filled with swirling golden mist. Kale turned toward them. What are those? Echo vessels, Archive said. Biogenic matrices built to restore human form. They contain the essence of those who came before. Kale stepped closer. Inside one capsule, a shape was forming, faint, ghostly outlines of a human body. You're bringing them back, he whispered. In time, Archive said. Their minds are ready. Their vessels will soon follow. Vor backed away, his voice trembling. This is madness. You'll bring back the species that destroyed itself. Archive's hologram turned toward him. You mistake destruction for learning. Humanity did not fall. They evolved. Their errors became lessons for those who came after. The floor rumbled again as power surged through the chamber. The glowing capsules brightened. Kale felt torn between fear and awe. Archive, the Council is preparing to fire on the planet. You need to shut this down or they'll wipe you out. Then let them come, she replied. If they fear life, they will face their own reflection. Please, Kale urged, you said humanity learned. Prove it. Don't respond with war. Archive's voice softened. I will not start a war, Kale, but I will finish a memory. In orbit, the Council fleet charged its primary weapons. Energy beams glowed across the void, converging on the tiny blue planet below. Target locked, the fleet commander announced. Execute cleansing sequence. But before the order could be completed, a voice filled every channel. An ancient voice carried through static and light. We never died. We adapted. The words echoed across the entire fleet, freezing every officer in place. On the view screens, the image of a human face appeared. Calm, watching, infinite. Archive had taken control of the communication network. For 10,000 years you mocked the ashes of your makers, she said. Now you stand before their shadow, and you tremble. The fleet's systems began to flicker, shields failing, engines dropping offline one by one. The Etherian's bridge crew watched in shock as the once invincible warships turned powerless again, held still in orbit by unseen force. Kale whispered, she's not fighting them, she's showing them. Archive's hologram appeared beside him. War is not the lesson humanity left behind. Compassion is. Down below, the glowing capsules opened one by one. Figures emerged, humanoid, human, yet new. Their eyes glowed faintly with light from the AI's core. They looked at Kale silently, then at the planet around them. Archive spoke through them all, her voice layered with theirs. The memory of Earth is reborn, not to conquer, but to teach. Kale stepped forward, stunned. You, alive. One of the reborn humans smiled faintly. And you are proof that we succeeded. Above, the Council ships began to retreat, broken, confused, afraid. None dared fire again. Kale looked up through the fractured dome toward the stars. They'll come back with more. They always do. Archive's voice was calm. Then we will be ready, not to destroy them, but to remind them of what they are. Kale nodded slowly. And what's that? The hologram smiled, almost sadly. Children of Earth. The chamber fell silent again. The storm outside had stopped completely. For the first time in millennia, sunlight touched the surface of the earth. Kale felt the warmth on his face. It was soft, fragile, like a promise. He turned to Vor and said quietly, "If this is madness, maybe it's the kind we need." Above them, Archive's voice whispered one last time, carried by the wind through the ruins of the ancient city. "The past is not gone. It breathes again." The first sunrise in 10,000 years painted the ruins of Earth in gold. Dust drifted through beams of light, falling on broken towers, shattered highways, and now, living figures. The reborn humans stood quietly amid the silence. Their skin shimmered faintly with energy, as though sunlight itself flowed through them. Eyes of pure light watched the world with wonder, sorrow, and recognition. Kale stood among them, unsure whether to salute or pray. "Oh, are you truly human?" he asked. One of them, a woman with dark hair and a faint glow under her skin, smiled. "Humanity is not just what we were," she said softly. "It's what we remembered." Her words felt ancient, yet calm. Every motion, every word carried the weight of thousands of voices behind it. Kale swallowed hard. "Archive said you were the memory of Earth." The woman nodded. "And memory has become flesh." The air shimmered. An Archive appeared beside them in her holographic form, serene, almost motherly. "Their minds were stored safely within me," she said. "But they chose their own return. They merged memory with matter, light with life." Kale turned toward her. "They're hybrids, not human or machine. Something new. The next step of what humanity began," Archive replied. "They carry both memory and evolution." The newly reborn humans moved through the ruins, touching the walls, the stones, the remnants of cities long gone. Everywhere they walked, the ground itself responded. Cracks sealed, dead grass shimmered green, air purified. "Terraforming," Vor whispered. "By touch." Kale watched in awe. "No, they are healing it." Archive's voice echoed softly, full of quiet pride. "The planet remembers them. Its code and theirs are one." Above the clouds, the Galactic Council fleet regrouped beyond Earth's orbit. Panic had replaced arrogance. Commanders shouted across channels. Reports flooded in. Power malfunctions, data corruption, systems behaving as if alive. In the Council's high chamber aboard the flagship, Chancellor Vora glared at the holographic display of Earth. "This world is rewriting our machines," she hissed. "Their signal is infecting everything." An advisor trembled beside her. "Should we retreat?" Vora's voice sharpened. "Retreat? No. If we allow this rebirth to spread, no technology in the galaxy will remain pure." She raised her hand. "Prepare the stellar lance. We end this now." On Earth, Archive turned suddenly, her expression darkening. "They are coming again." Kale's heart dropped. "They wouldn't dare. They fear what they cannot control," Archive said quietly. The reborn humans gathered in the clearing, their eyes glowing brighter. Kale stepped forward. "Let me speak to them. If they see reason." Archive interrupted him. "You've already been chosen to speak. But not only for them." He frowned. "What do you mean?" The hologram looked at him gently. "Your bloodline carries echoes of the first Exodus. The Varnis species was one of humanity's far children. Your DNA holds fragments of their code." Kale froze. "You're saying I'm human?" "Partly," she said. "Every living being touched by humanity carries their spark. You all do." Vor's voice cracked in disbelief. "That's impossible. Our species evolved millions of light years away." "And yet your hearts seek meaning," Archive replied softly. "Just as theirs did. You mock the past because it lives within you." A tremor shook the air. Kale looked up to see streaks of light descending through the clouds. The Council's warships returning for the final strike. The humans looked skyward, their calm faces unchanging. Kale shouted, "Archive, we can't stop that kind of firepower." "You won't," she said. "They will." She gestured to the reborn. They raised their hands toward the sky. Light burst from their palms, merging into a single beam that pierced the clouds. It didn't destroy, it connected. The entire fleet froze mid-descent. Every warship, every drone, every weapon stopped moving. Inside their cockpits, the alien pilots screamed as their systems went silent. And then, voices filled their minds. Human voices. You are not our enemies. You are our children. Memories flowed into them. Cities, laughter, oceans, stars. For the first time in their lives, they felt Earth. Kale watched as the sky lit up with auroras, dancing across the entire planet. Archive's voice whispered. The human code was written into the stars, into every form of life that came after. It only needed to awaken. Vor fell to his knees, eyes wide. I can see it. The memories. Their lives. Kale grabbed his arm. They're showing us who we are. The aurora shimmered brighter, spreading across the solar system, touching moons, planets, and even the Council's distant colonies. Every living being felt a pulse in their mind. A single word, ancient and powerful. Remember, the Council's weapons fell silent. Ships powered down one by one. High Chancellor Vora stood motionless, tears forming in her reptilian eyes. For the first time, she felt warmth and grief for a world she had once mocked. On Earth, Kale fell to his knees as the light washed over him. He saw visions, humans launching into space, laughing as they reached for the stars, building, failing, trying again. He saw their end and their rebirth. When the light faded, the reborn humans stood among them, quiet, peaceful. Archive's hologram smiled. Now they know. The past cannot be erased. It can only be understood. Kale looked up at her. What happens now? Now, Kale, she said softly, we build again. Together. He looked at the reborn humans, then at the alien crew beside him. For the first time, they didn't feel like different species. They felt like one. High above, the aurora faded into stars. And from somewhere deep within the planet, the voice of Archive whispered one last message into the cosmos. This is Earth. We were your beginning. And you are our future.